Allen Iverson is hands down one of the greatest players to ever set foot on an NBA court, and to this day, he remains one of the best point guards in pro basketball history. During his NBA career, he was the top scorer 4 times between 1998 and 2005, and Iverson holds the record for the second highest per game scoring average behind Michael Jordan. So stay tuned and don't go away, because revealing Allen Iverson's strict top 4 best point guards plus other point guards who deserve that spot. First up, who are Allen Iverson's top 4 picks for the best point guards of all time? You're about to find out. Iverson recently had a revealing interview with comedy star Kevin Hart on an episode of Cold as Balls, and the 2001 NBA MVP and one of the best players from his draft class talked about his background, the way in which he was treated by the NBA, and all the comparisons between him and modern-day players. Hart asked Iverson who his favorite players were, and Iverson named 4 big NBA legends. Iverson said simply, "I'ma go Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, and Chris Paul."
I'm gonna go Magic, Isaiah, Steph, and Chris Paul.
The 4 NBA legends named by Iverson are each known for a specific aspect of their game, their own style, and they all played for winning teams that dominated the league. Like Iverson, those 4 players left an indelible mark on the league, and each of the point guards won MVP trophies for their efforts on the court. Many have argued that Allen Iverson is the most talented player in NBA history, but his lack of a championship and controversial career often precludes him from being ranked at the top. Still, Iverson is satisfied with the way things unfolded for his career, and he spends most of his time spreading the love and praising other NBA legends. Next up, who are some of the greatest point guards ever? Let's take a look. Magic Johnson was the leader of one of the finest teams in NBA history. He had it all: flash, pizzazz, and was an incredible playmaker, setting up spectacular passes and plays that not many other players would have attempted. His super charismatic personality, though, was essentially the cherry on top, and to this day, he's still considered one of the biggest superstars in NBA history. Another remarkable player, and the first player in history to average a triple-double, is Oscar Robertson. Like Magic Johnson, Robertson was known for being an expert playmaker, rebounder, and scorer during his time as a point guard. Considered one of the most well-rounded offensive guards ever, Robertson experienced very little team success until he paired up with Lou Alcindor in Milwaukee, and he did eventually win an NBA championship. Moving on now to another player who really needs no introduction: Stephen Curry. Curry is credited with changing the way the game is played. Thanks to Curry, every player on the floor wants to shoot 3-point shots. Curry's skill set, though, extends far beyond merely shooting threes. Like Johnson and Robertson, Curry's a wizard when it comes to playmaking.
7, at 5, at 4, Curry jumper.
And honestly, he deserves a lot more credit than he receives. He's a future Hall of Famer and one of the greatest shooters ever. And for the 2021-2022 season, all he did was add to his list of accomplishments, winning his 4th championship and his 2nd without Kevin Durant.
Got 4 championships. You know, like, God is great.
And he also clinched a Finals MVP, something he always hoped he would someday get. Up next, what do Jerry West, Isaiah Thomas, and Chris Paul have in common? They're not just point guards, they're point gods. No player in the NBA hates the Boston Celtics as much as Jerry West. Why? Because West lost to the Celtics in the finals not once, but all 6 times that he faced them. We can't put all the blame at Jerry's feet for those losses, though. He put up great numbers against the Celtics on a regular basis and consistently carried his entire team. West was an amazing combo guard and performed at an elite level thanks to his scoring and playmaking prowess. Also, in each season of his career, West made the All-Star team. Only 4 other players in history with 10 or more seasons of NBA experience have accomplished that. Impressive stuff. Isaiah Thomas is another player who left an indelible mark on the NBA. Considered the best player ever under 6'1", Isaiah was extremely talented, but more importantly, he was fiercely competitive. His playmaking abilities were off the charts, obviously elite, and he could score out of the mid-range right off the dribble. Isaiah was also the proud face of the Bad Boys Pistons, who, let's not forget, beat Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls 3 straight times in the NBA playoffs in the late 1990s. The only thing that limits Isaiah in terms of superstar status is that he had a short career. Another player, Chris Paul, achieved icon status in the NBA. Without a doubt, Paul's biggest asset was his leadership skills on the court. When you were playing with Paul, it was as if you had a head coach on the court. He always sets up his teammates in the right spots, scored at an elite level, and obliterated his opponents. Although he never clinched a ring, he's easily a Hall of Famer. Stay tuned and don't go away, because we're revealing the most elite point guards whose names are forever etched in the annals of NBA history. Next up, can you guess which NBA player is ranked first in assists and steals? You're about to find out. Many NBA stats aficionados have argued that John Stockton's record for assists and steals will never be beaten. The famed Utah Jazz legend concluded his career with, get this, 15,806 assists, which is 3,715 more than the second highest player, and 3,265 505 steals, which is 581 more than anyone else. These numbers have led many to wonder if Stockton was the best point guard in NBA history, and that can be debated all day long. But longevity does speak for itself, and Stockton was a supreme talent for a very long time. Another player who made a big splash in the NBA was Steve Nash. Nash's story is also remarkable because he was a white Canadian who rose up through the ranks of the NBA, which was predominantly comprised of African Americans. And despite even being invented by a Canadian, basketball has long been viewed as an American sport and creation by those who are unfamiliar with the sport's history. So because of his ethnicity and citizenship, Nash really stuck out like a sore thumb. But those aren't the only things that set him apart from other players. His prowess on the basketball court did. Nash was a pick-and-roll wizard, able to shoot off the dribble and beyond the arc, which was certainly uncommon during his years. Nash's 2 MVP awards were controversial to some, but no one can deny that he was a star during his days in the NBA. Up next, which point guard was dubbed the Houdini of the hardwood? Let's take a look. Bob Cousy is considered the original floor general, and the first superstar player who did everything a modern point guard should do and more. Cousy was a master dribbler, gave perfect passes, and was also able to direct teammates and shoot jumpers. This is why he became known as the Houdini of the hardwood, thanks to his ball handling skills and creativity. Moving on now though to another player who's more than earned his place on our list, Jason Kidd. You just learned that John Stockton was #1 in steals and assists. Well, Jason Kidd is the #2 man. Considered one of the greatest point guards ever, Kidd was known for his flashy passes, and he knew how to wear his opponents down in transition with his impressive speed. But what really makes Kidd stand out is his ridiculous basketball IQ, which is off the charts. Personally, I think his nickname should have been the Rain Man. Kidd knew just how to rack up steals and defend at a high level. Later in his career, he developed into a great outside shooter, and this added to his longevity in the NBA. Speaking of great defenders, this list would not be complete without Gary Payton. Payton seemingly had superhuman strength for his size, was fast on his feet, had elite hands, and his timing was always impeccable, allowing him to lock down his opponents while racking up steals. Payton was a rock-solid scorer, a superior playmaker, and his mid-range game enabled him to get buckets. Finally, who's the best European point guard in the NBA? Tony Parker takes the crown for the best European point guard the NBA has ever seen. Parker dominates opposing backcourt players with his speed, tight crossovers, and when he's in the lane, he's an incredible teardrop floater. Many observers feel that Parker changed the game for point guards trying to reach the NBA from overseas. Moving on now to a player who is a Hall of Famer 4 times over, a 3-time Naismith inductee, one as a player, a coach, and one as an assistant for the famed Dream Team. Oh, and did I mention Lenny Wilkens was also a college basketball Hall of Famer? Wilkens built a flawless career for himself and dominated the court in the 60s and 70s. He led the NBA in assists from 1969 to 1970, and in 1971 was named All-Star Game MVP. Are there any other point guards that you feel deserve a spot on our list that weren't mentioned in this video? If so, drop some comments down below and let us know which point guard you think is one of the greatest ever. That's a wrap for today's video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel.